A point tonight between the Thunder and the Spurs. The Thunder went on to win 127 to 114. And while you would expect a big game out of SGA, the reigning two-time back-to-back MVP, it was also some surprising names in that Thunder mix. Alex Caruso with 22 points, Jared McCain with 20 points, and Chet Holmgren showing up with 16. So a group effort from the Thunder. Time to welcome in CBS Sports NBA analysts John Gonzalez and Noah Bono. And no A.J. Mitchell, no Jalen Williams for the Thunder, but no problem in Game 5. Who went on to win that game, the Thunder? What was the biggest difference in the way that you think they played tonight? John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, SGA got to the line. I mean, he wasn't super efficient. He had some turnovers, but it was a better performance for him in just being aggressive and knowing that if he can get a foul call and if he can get to the line, he's automatic when he gets there. Shot 17 free throws tonight, made 16, ends up with 32 points. I thought that was big. And then Mark Daigneault also juggling his lineup a little bit because in Game 3, his bench was huge. And then in Game 4, it wasn't. And so he decided, okay, no A.J. Mitchell, no Jalen Williams. Starts Jared McCain tonight, which I thought was really interesting and gutsy because this is a guy who has not started many games in his entire career, only came to the Thunder at the trade deadline, had a good Game 3 off the bench, but off the bench is different than being inserted into a starting lineup. So Cason Wallace goes back to the bench, and in the first half, it looked like it was a mistake. Jared McCain only had 2 points at the half, and then he goes nuts in the second half, ends up with 20 points. So that was a huge boost because they needed some offense. Hartenstein was excellent tonight. Chet Holmgren, welcome to the series. This wasn't a great game by Chet Holmgren standards, but a double-double. Still only took 9 shots, but this is one of those situations where he was basically useless and invisible in the beginning of the series. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are happy to get anything out of him, and this was more. So all around, it was a really nice bounce-back effort by the Thunder, but again, led by SGA, just being aggressive early and often.
The second scoring punch that John touched on with Jared McCain getting rolling and then Alex Caruso having 22 points off the bench is so crucial for any team in the postseason. And the Thunder really lacked that, obviously, in Game 4. And then tonight, it just was Jared McCain getting rolling in the second half. And Shea, to me, outside of Games 2 and 3, seems like he's really struggled with a lot of the coverages that they've thrown his way to turn the ball over another 6 times. He did get 17 free throws. That's incredible. Victor Wembanyama also got to the line a ton, 12 of 12. The biggest thing in this game to me that stood out was how far away Victor Wembanyama was catching the basketball. I thought Jamal Crawford and Reggie Miller did a great job consistently hammering the point of why is he catching the ball so far away. I made a tally in the second half of how many times he touched it in the half court above the three-point line and total. He had 13 touches within actions in the second half. 9 of those 13 touches he caught beyond the free throw line. Think about how much extra work he was required to do when catching the ball that far out to then try to make a play down low. Only 3 of those 9 catches resulted in points above the free throw line. 2 made baskets, and the other one he got to the free throw line. It's not a winning recipe. You're playing exactly into the hand of the Oklahoma City Thunder defensively when you make it that difficult on yourself as the San Antonio Spurs to get your best player of the ball so far away from the basket. I just thought it was just malpractice. I mean, because when we saw what Wemby was able to do in Game 1 and Game 4, when they just hammer the ball into him in the post, and when you run away from it like they did tonight, and in Game 2 and Game 3, this is the result.
I mean, you just answered my question on why you thought Wemby maybe struggled this game, but I do want to talk about the Thunder because, John, you talked about this a little earlier, briefly. We were talking pregame. You wanted SGA to have a bigger presence. You wanted Chet Holmgren to not be invisible. How did they both show up differently that affected this outcome in Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, SGA just getting to the line, and Noah's right. Like, he has been sort of sloppy with the ball. And part of that, we should give some credit to the Spurs, making sure that, you know, those big wings and guards who have harassed him, that's part of it, right? But SGA previously was sort of passive looking to score the ball. And it almost doesn't matter if he makes it from the field, like if he takes a shot and he makes it or doesn't make it, as long as he's getting fouled and getting to the line, because once he gets to the line, he's absolutely automatic. I mean, that's what he does best. It drives some people nuts. Some people call it foul baiting. I think that it's a skill set. It's something that some players, like we've seen James Harden do that in the past. The SGA has essentially perfected it. A two-time MVP, knowing that he can get to the line whenever he wants to, is huge for them. And then Chet Holmgren, I mean, this was sort of a mixed bag Chet Holmgren game. We are grading this on a curve here because early in the game, I don't know if you guys clocked this, but Keldon Johnson put a shoulder into him and then dunked on him. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're so much bigger. Chet Holmgren, you were the runner-up defensive player of the year, and you're letting Keldon Johnson, who's like a half foot shorter than you, just body you. And then Wemby blocked him as well. But he also had a dunk on Wemby, and I thought, okay, well, that's good. He's being aggressive, but still only 9 shots for him tonight. I mean, once again, Jared McCain took significantly more shots. They're getting away with it here. They're up in the series, but I still want to see more from Chet Holmgren. But on the other side, for sure, what Noah was saying about Wemby makes no sense. We saw it in game 3 and then in game 5, where he's catching the ball so far out. And in game 4, he wasn't doing that, right? They got aggressive with him going into the paint. That's what I want to see from Chet Holmgren. And that we've only seen intermittently from Wemby, where, tonight, again, he's not catching the ball down low, not as many lobs. It makes very little sense. His offense should be inside out. Start inside and then move outside. He was 0 for 5 from 3 tonight, and I don't get it either.
It's interesting, too, because when you think about what Jared McCain did in the second half, that's when Chet Holmgren sort of started to drop off and we saw less production from him. He was big in the first quarter, a little bit in the second quarter. Jared McCain was not. So it's almost like this flip-flop. They oscillate between the two of who's going to be that second scoring punch. Meanwhile, Alex Caruso still flirting with being, this lethal role player. After only having 1 shot attempt in game 4, he really stepped it up again tonight. But it's almost like those two can't coexist and both play well at the same time. The offense just doesn't work that way, where John's saying get it inside, outside. Chet can get it inside and pass it outside to a shooter like McCain, or the offense is just flirting out on the perimeter where McCain's coming off these dribble handoffs and these pitches and these flips, and he's able to light it up. He's such a good mid-range player. That's what got him rolling, and then he pulled it out and knocked down a couple three-pointers, and that was the difference, because those guys played better than a De'Aaron Fox, who 4 minutes into the third quarter was 1 for 9 from the floor, and I'm writing down in my notes, please sub De'Aaron Fox out. The moment he got taken out of the game, the Spurs went on a 14-2 run over the next 2.5 minutes, and it was an 8-point game. Granted, it didn't end up meaning anything, but he was so bad. And I hate to be that brutally honest, but he just provided so little offensively and defensively because he's clearly hobbled. Yeah, did he make a couple pull-up jump shots 5 feet away from the rim later in the game? That some of them could have been big shots if the Spurs could have gotten over the hump, but ultimately, I thought he was more of a deterrent in this game to the Spurs offense and what they were trying to do. It put more of a load on Stephon Castle. He's clearly hurt, so it's hard to say, oh, he's bad just because he's bad. No, he's clearly dealing with something. And I think when you look at a guy like McCain and then a guy like De'Aaron Fox, and you're seeing the impact that the two of them are having, such a drop-off on the Spurs side versus what the Thunder were able to get from McCain in the second half.
So, Noah, you kind of mentioned Caruso, 22 points off the bench. 4 of the 5 starters on the Thunder had 12 or more points. Was this more of what the Thunder was doing right or what the Spurs were not doing correct?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think the biggest thing is that the Thunder are obviously the more experienced team, and that's what tonight was. It was experience. It was championship pedigree. We don't care that we don't have our second best player, an all-NBA guy in Jalen Williams, or our third best on-ball creator in A.J. Mitchell. We don't care. The Spurs shot themselves in the foot a number of times. Careless passes, errant personal fouls, offensively, defensively, just throwing the ball into no man's land. I thought the young guards, the turnovers won't show this, but Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper specifically, I thought were really careless with the ball and sloppy with their dribble in moments where, there was one play where De'Aaron Fox actually scored, but Dylan Harper threw the ball ahead to him, and I thought the ball already went out of bounds, but De'Aaron Fox is so fast he was able to chase it down. There was just a lot of moments like that where OKC was so calm and composed in what they wanted to do. They were not getting sped up, and on the San Antonio side, it was like, hey guys, this is not a pickup game at Rucker Park. This is the Western Conference Finals, and I just think they were too loose with the basketball. And then the Wemby piece, just being so far away from the rim, that is exactly what San Antonio wants. That is a chef's kiss every time the Thunder see Wemby standing at the three-point line or setting a ball screen and not rolling hard to the basket to try to be a lob threat. The Thunder are going, hey, Wemby, thanks for doing the work for us. And I think when you add all that up and the Thunder having the pedigree they have as a championship team, I regret picking the Spurs and thinking they were ready for this moment. They very very clearly were not, and the Thunder showed their true colors as the team, looking to go back to back.
It's been a little bit of a weird series, right? Because we had game one where both of them were just like trading haymakers and they go to double overtime. But since then, they've almost kind